All right, guys, welcome to the very first episode of the Let It Ride podcast. I am Jake Freeman with the Shift Points YouTube channel, which means I'm 50% of it, and I'm probably not even that much, probably like 20%. Dad's probably 80% of it, and then I just video what he's doing. But we are here with my good friend.
What's going on, guys? I'm Colin Andrews. I am the owner, operator, fund haver at the Daily Misfire, which is, if you haven't watched that channel before, it's basically dollar store roadkill where I have mostly all Chevrolet stuff. No, it's all Chevrolet product. It's all Chevrolet products.
It's worse than us.
Oh yeah. If it doesn't have a bow tie, it might be a Buick. That's about as close as I get. But we do a lot of drag racing, hot rod stuff, road adventures. We did Drag Week in 2023. Hopefully we're going to do a lot more drag and drive stuff. Whole lot of drag racing. Hopefully all of us are. That'll be probably later towards the end of this video. But yeah, and we're starting this new Let It Ride podcast because I moved out here to Tennessee and it's close to North Carolina.
Very close.
Very close, like 35 minutes. And he and I are both, proximate, same age, same theories on cars.
And we have the same social disorders where we just make YouTube videos and work on cars, and that's all we do.
We love misery. We just like to kill ourselves over $5 on YouTube.
Exactly. I've never told you this, but I'm gonna tell the viewers here kind of how my first introduction to you.
Okay.
And it's really funny because I find you somehow on YouTube or Instagram or whatever it was. I don't remember. I think it was Instagram where we met first.
Yeah.
I don't remember what caused me to follow you, but I did. And then so I realized you had like 20,000 followers. I was like, this dude knows what's up. He knows what he's doing. So I was like, I'm going to kind of watch this guy. And then I realized, he's in Irwin. He's 30 minutes away. And I was like, this cool guy's going to want to hang out with me, I'm sure. So I send him a message. I'm like, hey, man, we're like super close. We're only like 30 minutes apart. If you ever, need anything, let me know. And then somehow we did it. Like we just met up. And, I guess, what did we do first?
So the first time
you came over here.
Yeah, I came over here because I was doing a mail run of all things in my Nova.
That's right.
Because that makes a good mail run vehicle is my Nova. And that's a long story I'm not going to get into. But I came over here the first time and then we hung out for 2-3 hours.
Probably 2 or 3 hours, yeah.
It was during Drag Week. I knew that. Yeah, because it was the last day of Drag Week.
It was the very last day of Drag Week. That's right.
And then probably was it 2 months ago we went to the swap
we went over
meet
to Gray. Gray had their deal in January. We went over to the swap meet and just kind of hung out, and then that's where we had kind of our first initial rumblings of doing this, which is I guess we should probably get to the point of what this is hopefully going to be at some point. We kind of are hoping that it's going to be a little bit of everything automotive is at least what I have in my mind. I think it's going to be a little fluid. I think that we're going to be doing different things. We'll be talking about different things, but at the core of it, it will always be automotive related in general. I'm certain we're going to have tangents. But in general, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Talk about different things that we're doing. I made the suggestion to Colin the other day that it might be cool if we were able to do some cool automotive stories or stories that inspired us or still inspire us, because there's a lot of really cool stories in the automotive world that I still go back and get excited about. I've read them or watched them or talked about them 1,000 times and I still get excited about it. But there's a chance that there's people out there that haven't heard those stories. And I think it would be a really cool platform right here on this podcast to talk about them a little bit. And hopefully we bring stories to each other that the other one hasn't heard. And then we can kind of do it that way. At least that's what I have in mind.
Yeah, that's kind of what I have in mind about the whole thing too. And the whole nexus of the word and the phrase "let it ride" is you can do a lot of stuff with that.
Exactly.
So, I know I brought up a little bit about the whole drag and drive thing, but say if we go on a drag and drive or go on a road trip to say Alabama to go get a random 40s truck that somebody wants to go get.
It's like a 30-something.
Okay, it was a 30-something. This fool wanted to drive to freaking middle of
Arkansas.
Alabama.
I think it was Arkansas.
I don't know. It was one of the A southern states. I don't know which one.
So yeah, exactly.
He messages me at 10:30 at night. And mind you, this is during when it's 13 degrees outside. He goes, "We should go and get this car and bring it back and be like Vice Grip Garage and drive this." And I look at it. It's like a stove bolt straight 6, 4-speed, probably 411s. It's probably 532 rear gear, probably.
Yeah, I think it was a 37 Chevrolet truck.
Yeah, which is a cool truck.
It was running, though. It was running.
But he wanted to drive it back here, and I'm like, you realize that's going to be like a 22-hour drive just because that thing has
I
a
think
top
it was closer to 26.
Okay, see, because it has like a top speed of 44 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you know how I know that? Because we had a 62 C30 that had a 235 in it. It had 513 rear gears in
really?
it. And it, to the wood, in fourth gear, ran like 44 miles an hour.
Nice.
But it would go up a hill like that.
Yeah, it would have been fine. We would have made it probably.
Anyway, I digress.
You digress.
That's the whole part of this podcast is we'll be able to go out on road trips, do that kind of stuff, try to cover that in Nexus with our own channels that we have on YouTube. So if you want to watch, Chevy stuff, both of us do pretty much the exact same things, just in different flavors. I think they have their 55 Chevy they do a lot of. Yeah,
that's true. So Colin kind of gave a breakdown of his channel. So on our channel, the Shift Points YouTube channel, like he said, we kind of do a little bit. I wouldn't call it roadkill. It's kind of roadkill inspired because we do it ourselves, I think. Yeah. I made a video back whenever they talked about roadkill getting shut down or going bankrupt or whatever ended up happening with that deal. Kind of talking about that we here, with me especially, during COVID, I got like super obsessed with roadkill. Started watching like every episode because I was so used to the old car shows that you watch. So you had Chip Foose's, you had Boyd Coddington's. They were like these next level, what in my mind as a young kid here in Western North Carolina, this unattainable level to get to, right? And so roadkill was kind of the first show that was like regular people can do this and video it and do it. And that was kind of, I wouldn't say the height of YouTube, but that was kind of when everybody was kind of getting into it, where we sit now. And so I said, we're going to do this. I told Dad and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. So basically over the past 2 years, what we've done, the first project that we had was a LS swapped first series 55. Yes, I promise it's a 55. It's not a 54. It's a 55.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure. It was a first series 55 Chevrolet truck. That 55 was a transition year for Chevrolet trucks. The first series looked like 54s. The second series are the iconic 55 Chevrolet trucks that everyone knows. But anyway, we had started that as a customer truck, and then we're basically able to, we bought the truck and then finished it up to take it on Power Tour in 2023. And then I have a 64 Ford Galaxy that I've been working on that we've been kind of restoring / improving, I guess, restorations. In general, everything's basically stayed the same with some mild improvements like
hot rodding,
a GM parts like HEI distributors and things like that. Because anytime
so you're fixing the Ford,
I try my best to fix a Ford with the Chevy parts at all times.
I apologize to all Ford people out there because I will roast Ford and Mopar, and it's not because I don't like them; it's because I don't understand them and they hate me.
Yeah, so that's fair. Well, it's me with me, and we get it on our social media pages all the time. Ford guys just like lashing out at me when I make fun of them. But I'm like, the reason that I can make fun of them is because we have them and we work on them. I know their flaws. I know the flaws of a Chevrolet. Mm-hmm. I'll make fun of those as well. Like they have every car has their own issues, but I've found that the Chevrolet ones have a few less.
You mean, I can put a small block Chevy from 1992 into the same place one was made in like 1962, and it'll just bolt in.
It'll basically just go together.
I don't need some brackets or flex plate adapters or any weird.
No, you don't.
And the transmission will probably just bolt in exactly how it should.
Absolutely.
I don't need, you have the
Cleveland's, Windsor's, FE's. They didn't change their motors every 2 years.
I have the similar thing. So I've come from the background of I probably have 60 years of experience behind me as far as my grandpa did hot rodding, my dad did hot rodding, my mom did hot rodding stuff. I grew up in a shop that did literally all of that for, until, since I was 3 or 4 years old. Mm-hmm. I was in the shop messing with stuff and breaking things and doing that kind of thing. So I got to work on Fords, Mopars, Chevys and all that stuff. And I found Chevy's the most fun and the easiest to work on, and generally to make
most
the most
cost effective usually.
For poor kids like me, yes, that's
exactly. And it's funny, and it's a conversation to have, I guess, at some point. Maybe not today, but like with a little research, I've always, the Chevy Ford thing has always cracked me up.
It has.
Why is it such a cult
I don't know.
in both directions,
And mind
right?
you,
You
I
can
came-
only be a Chevy guy or a Ford guy. You can't be both. You know, like
You can
that's
be
what a
a
lot of
car
people
guy,
think.
and then which mind you, I did come from when I was 5 or 6. My favorite movie was Gone in 60 Seconds, and I wanted an Eleanor. That
Oh.
was like that was the car I was gonna have.
Really?
And what I end up with a 67 Nope. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. I don't know if anyone would agree with you.
It's
on
basically the same thing, I'm sure.
Cool.
But
Yeah, so basically that's our channels. Like I said, we are hoping to do a lot of different things this year. We are working on my dad's 55 Chevy. We're going to get that thing back to the racetrack this year, or I'm going to bust. I mean, like it is ridiculous how bad I want to see that car go down the racetrack. And so that's kind of our big project right now. You are currently working on your dually, right?
there's so much stuff that's going on right now. So like there's so just back up. MyNova has been totally just operational off and on, and then I'm tweaker mode, and I decided to rip it apart every 6 months kind of thing when race season's not happening. And I decided to do that with my dually too this year. So racing starts March 21st, I think, is the first actual race at Bristol that's going to come up. And I came up with a smart idea to rip out the Turbo 400 that's in my dually and swap it with a 4L80. So I'm in the process of doing that right now. And I also got a lowering kit for the truck too from DJM Performance. I think it's Performance or Motorsports. I'm trying to remember which one. I'm sorry for DJM.
You should know your sponsor names.
They just gave this stuff to me, man. It's like I literally emailed them and I said, "Hey, I was looking at your
YouTube
stuff.
101.
This is YouTube 101.
Know
This
your
is,
sponsors' names.
know your sponsors' names." But this is the other side of YouTube that's hilarious when you start talking about sponsors and stuff like that. Is you email them when you have 20,000 followers on Instagram and 5,000 subs on YouTube. Is you can just email their contact page on their website and say, "Hey, this is how many followers I have. Do you guys work with creators and all? I'm looking for parts." And they say, "What do you want?" And I tell them, and they say, "We'll ship it out to you."
That's
I'm
great.
like,
yeah, that's a huge win.
"Okay."
Huge win. I've had that a couple times.
It's wild how that, like, every time it doesn't change. No matter how many times it happens to you, it never changes.
Oh no, you still get like so surprised and like so excited. I get
like,
wound up and I get super nervous when I send that email because I'm like, are they going to email me back? Or are they just going to ignore me? Sometimes they'll
like you're
ignore.
dating.
I promise you, they'll ignore you.
It's almost like you're dating again.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
for the
yeah.
first
Yeah.
time, it's
Yeah.
like-
Exactly.
You're like trying to slide in their DMs and be like, "Hey."
Except the bad thing is that my poor wife has to proofread my DM sliding. I'm like, does this email make sense? Is it English? And she's like, well, you should put a comma in somewhere. Like,
You're
why are
very
you
excited.
so against about commas? And why are there so many exclamation points?
I'm very excited. Okay, I want them to make sure that they know that I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just so happy to be here right now. That is literally her two criticisms of me. Anytime I get her to proofread something, she's like, "Why do you put so many exclamation points?" I'm like, "Because I am always so excited. That's why, of course."
And we're talking about free parts here.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'm working on something I'm really excited to be working on. Yeah, it's gonna make it easier and better. Yeah, exactly.
This is awesome. But yeah, so for my dually, so it's if you haven't known already about the channel, if you haven't watched my stuff, you're coming from Shift Points or something, or just random organic YouTube, which thank you if you're watching that from here.
Absolutely.
It's a 1981 crew cab 454 Chevy dually, and I got it from Nevada. I traded a 3/4 ton Suburban Ford of all things, and we ended up driving that truck cross country from California out to Tennessee with literally like 50 miles on the whole build kind of thing, quote unquote. And that one now has a 600 horsepower FI Tech system on it. It's basically just a bone stock truck with FI Tech and a RV cam or performer intake. But we're kind of going through it now. It's going to get the 3/4 drop on it, so it's going to be 3 inches drop in the front, 4 in the back, and it's got the 480 in it. So hopefully we'll have freeway cruising at like 70 miles an hour. And it's gonna be like
This is your
2,000 RPM.
racing tow rig. This is what you tow them over to the racetrack with.
Yeah. So it was started out as my daily driver truck, which is so fun when you're a big block 454 truck cruising on the freeway.
Good old
Getting
6 miles a gallon.
He got like 9.
Did it get 9?
He got 9.
Yeah. That said his would get like, I think he said it would get 9, whether there was a trailer
Coming
tied to it or
going
not.
down
It
the
didn't
hill in a
matter.
rainstorm, it'll get 9.
It was always going to get 9.
That's the story I've always heard with everyone. Now some of them have the good running quadrajets on them, and they got like 10.5.
Oh,
and that's
yeah,
like
there
the
you
hot
go.
rod one, which is what the dually will get about right now with the FI Tech. So it picked up about 2.5, 3 miles a gallon with the
Nice.
FI Tech. And it was just kind of funny because I was towing the Nova, which is downhill, mind you, coming out of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
But going to Darlington for drag week, that was the first time I really drove it with the FI Tech on it. And it got 11.5 going down the hill with the 454 and the Turbo 400. So it still ran 2,800 RPM, 2,700 RPM at 65.
Yeah.
So I messaged one of my buddies that has a 6.0 truck, and he's like, man, I get like 13 towing my
Yeah, he's like,
6.0 truck. So
Dad always said, he was like, if he had it to do over, he would have kept that dually he had and made it into a tow rig
I've
too.
heard that a lot.
Yeah, I have to find some pictures of that truck, but it was sweet. It was so low. And first off, it has, I don't know about yours, it has no turning radius.
Oh, no, yeah, it's a battleship.
First off, it's a battleship, and then it was so low, it had a worse turning radius because they would just scrub. The inner fenders would scrub if you turned it too much, and then, but it looked so good. It looked so.
yeah.
I was too young to appreciate it, to be fair.
I feel like the 3.4 drop is a very moderate, and it's a very, tasteful.
I told
drop
Dad
with
the
truck.
same thing. I told him, I was like, he's lowering the truck 3.4. I was like, and I think it's going to be like perfect. Like it's going to have the lowered nice look. Because that's going to, I really think that's going to drastically improve the looks of that truck.
yeah.
Because like I love that truck. But when you get it, just bring it down a little. It's going to be so good.
I won't be getting the comments at Walmart saying this is the redneck Cadillac or cowboy Cadillac. Yeah, I've gotten those, mind you, multiple times.
It's because it's brown and tan.
It's 100%
because
because it's brown and tan.
It has that brown tan two-tone. It's very
And
Western.
it's got and pardon my, I don't know if it's French or not, but it's got the cowboy Mexican chingaderos all over it.
Yeah,
where
that's
it's,
true.
it's got
Because
those
there's little
pinstriping,
pinstriping at all the door handles and stuff too.
It came from a Nevada cattle ranch is where it came from.
Oh, is that where it came
Yeah, that's
from?
where it came from. So
See, this is where we live very different lives. Because you grew up out west,
yes.
and I feel like every car out there is pristine.
All you Southern people, don't harass me about moving from California. I don't want to hear that for the 3,000th time.
He's one of the good ones. He's one of the good ones, or we wouldn't be friends.
No, that's also true.
So he's
I just had
one
to
of the
get
good
that.
ones.
I had to get that out of the way. Every time I say California, I don't need to hear the Tennessee or North Carolina do the eye roll
Go
through
back.
the camera. I can hear.
Go
it.
back. That's what my dad does. He sees a different license plate of his state around here, and he's like, "Move back! What are you doing here?"
I threw those license plates away as soon as I got here. Actually, the Nova came with Tennessee plates on it, so
Yeah.
my parents mailed all the plates back to
Mail them back,
California.
so
So
just keep them.
well, that's the thing with, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but the dually, it wouldn't smog. I couldn't register in California
Because of smog.
because of smog. I wouldn't be able to register it because it had a
What a
carburetor on it.
terrible state to live in.
It's awful.
It is
I'm sorry for
It's
all
really
you
bad.
refugees in California. I feel really bad for you.
refugees.
Anyway,
So what I started to
This
say
is not a
was,
political
is that-
podcast.
no, it's not, and it will not be. I promise.
that's as much as it'll get into.
But what I started to say is, I feel like like that truck around here it's like a unicorn because it's like there's no rust in that truck that I saw. You would not find a truck like that around here.
No.
It would be rotted, and that blows me away. Like the roadkill guys, when they would like dig something out, they'd be like, "This thing's so rusty," and it'd have like one spot here, and you're like, "Dude, that is pristine. What are you talking about? Like it still has rockers and cab corners. It's perfect."
Well, that's where I've come from, is that exact thing where like the cab corners and stuff are rusty, and you're like, man, this thing's a pile. Like,
Yeah.
like, and then you come out here and it's like culture shock when
It's
you
like
see all that stuff.
$8,000
Oh,
and the whole
yeah.
rocker's gone.
I'm like, dude, you want how much for this? Like, no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't like, I'd have to pay you to get rid of this in California because people just won't want it.
They won't want it.
Especially what I was talking about is 76 and newer. If it was like 81 3/4 ton Chevy truck, which there's plenty of those out here that are just completely junk.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it had floors, that it needed floors, people wouldn't want it. I mean,
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Camaros
So
and stuff.
what's the smog? So I know smog. I know what smog is, but like, what are the general rules and what passes, what is eligible, what's not eligible? Because we've had this conversation before, but I don't know the details of it.
So I don't know the rules of smog either. It's a kind of ever-changing thing. Not really, but basically smog. So you have to make sure if you had smog equipment on your car, it would have to maintain that. So whatever.
Always has to have it.
So if your car came with catalytic converters, you have to have cats on it. If it had the smog pump on it, it has to have the smog pump.
Okay.
So if you have a And it would get so bad to where if you put a cold air intake on like a 5.3 or something like that in a Chevy truck, it had to have the emission sticker
Still on it? Really?
still on it. And there's a specific one you have to have for California emissions over all the others. One of our friends that we had, he has I think it's a Tahoe or something like that, just like some truck. And he went to smog it, which you have to do every year, mind you. Or it's every couple of years. I think it's every 2 years. Especially for like the old stuff, you have to do every 2 years. I think you get like a reprieve for like 4 years or 5 years if you buy something new. But like if you have the 80, say if you have like 82 Chevy truck, anything that came with it in 1982, as far as smog stuff, you had to have that on. It has to remain on it. So if you have a catalytic converter go bad, or you have a smog pump go bad, well, you have to go find 1982 hardware for your truck.
So you can't even like put new versions of it on it?
If you can find them.
If you can find it, you can. Okay, gotcha.
One of our buddies, he had an 80, I think it's an 8280Z. And he had to find all the emissions stuff for that car and that car's still sitting, at least to my knowledge right now, because of part of the reason, because of smog.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's really wild.
Really. You would think the car capital of the world would want to actually.
And I know, and I told you this the other day, but I have this, like, my heart longs for the West Coast because it is this, like, mecca for car people, or it used to be. It's probably not anymore. I mean, I know it still exists.
Yeah.
But, like, I tell Emily all the time, I'm like, part of me just wants to move out west so bad. But, like, you can't go to California. I don't know where you'd go because I don't know it that well. But it can't be California because it's terrible. You can't live there. You can't do anything. The prices are insane. All of those things.
The closest place you can go is, like, Nevada or Arizona. And California still leaks out into them. And it's not just from the politics side. It's just the emissions side. And all that stuff kind of rolls into it.
Probably because there's so many people that kind of live on the border and commute. Okay, that makes sense.
That's part of it. But versus, say, Tennessee and North Carolina is the same way. There's no smog in Tennessee. No. I mean, I think my mom's 2017 Yukon that they just bought, I think it's like, registration for it's like $80 or like $30. It's just, there's no money in it, versus my dad's 73-quarter ton Chevy truck that he would, because it's a 3/4 ton truck, it's commercial. In Tennessee. It'd be commercial in California.
Really?
It'd be commercial. And El Camino is commercial.
What? Yeah. Why?
Because it has a bed. So at that point, a Subaru Brat, theoretically, is a truck. So that way you would have to register it as a truck. And I think my dad's truck was like $200 a year.
Really?
Just registration.
Whoa.
Versus, I think my dually is like $26 here.
Yeah.
And it's 1,000 times the truck my dad's truck is, just because it's a big block 1 ton.
I'm pretty sure the C10 was like $30 last year, and I don't even have to get a safety inspection on it because it's more than 35 years old. So it's literally nothing.
Seeing Tennessee's even better than North Carolina because there's no safety inspections
on anything.
No.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that.
I'm not gonna,
I don't know how we got into state cultures.
This is funny, but no, because it's funny for other people.
Yeah.
Like, Tennessee, when we were talking about registration for vehicles with the, I think courthouse, because that's where they register stuff in Tennessee. My dad asked them a couple of questions just about registration, like, do you guys need safety inspections for anything? And she goes, honey, as long as you got taillights and that sticker on the back and you got headlights, we don't care if your fenders are falling off. It doesn't matter. Kind of lady. I'm like, God, I love this state. This is awesome. Like,
and that's why he moved. Yes. And that story right there sums up why he moved from California.
Pretty much. I'm like, I can buy a gun and walk out with it the same day. I can buy ammo, actually, like buy ammo at Walmart. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's drive-through liquor stores in North Carolina. I'm like,
are there some here? Because I've never seen one here. I've seen there's the one over in Tennessee. I'm pretty sure there was one over there.
I saw a video of someone in like Mooresville or somewhere like that, where it was, which makes sense, Mooresville.
Yeah.
But
Dirty Mo. Yeah.
But I'm like,
dude, you do realize that this county is still a like a you can only buy beer and wine here. You can't buy liquor in this county. No.
Not like period.
Really? They can't serve it at restaurants. You can't. Yeah. Really? You can't buy it here anywhere. So you got to go to Weaverville. Got to go to Buncombe County.
So
don't ask me how I know.
Jacob, have you been drinking?
No.
Anyway, I know Unicoi County, you can't buy liquor, period, on Sunday until after
10.
After I think it's after 11.
Oh, really?
I think
Here it's 10.
It's either
You
11
can't
or
even
10.
buy beer before 10 here. So there are drawbacks to where we live. It's just the differences in cultures are funny to me, because I lived in Charlotte for 7 years. So I guess that's something else we could talk about here in the first one, a little bit of our backgrounds ourselves. So I lived in Charlotte for 7 years. I went to mechanical engineering school starting in 2013. Sorry, I graduated high school in 2013. Moved down there for mechanical engineering school at UNC Charlotte. Go Niners, I guess. We don't really have that school pride thing. Like, it's weird because like we just got a football team the same year that I started there, and I feel like a football team is what generates school pride. But we were really bad, and I don't think we're any better now. So like, there's still like this weird school
Not to
pride.
throw but it's an engineering school. It's
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's one of our that is one of our claims to fame. So that's part of it. But anyway, so I lived in Charlotte for 7 years. So I kind of I got used to a very different way. And then when we moved back here in 2020, it's even now it's still weird. Like things like that. Like it's different. We live in a little different time here. But it's a good thing.
The delinquency is not allowed at certain times. I understand that. Which I mean,
yeah. In moderation,
in certain points,
it's
in certain
interesting
ways.
what people call delinquent now around here, though. Anyway, I digress on that one.
Versus where I came from in California, which I was from the Sacramento Valley, and so I'm from Sacramento area, and born and raised there, stayed there, went to junior college and stuff there, and we ended up moving out here in July. I moved out here in July of 22 is when I moved out here, so I've been here almost 3 years at this point. My parents, I think we came in like waves of cars and people and stuff like that. I think we ended up bringing like 14 cars over and bought property and just did all that kind of stuff.
14,
but
you hauled 14 cars here? Yeah. How many trips did you guys take?
So I took 2. I took 2.
So you would drive here, fly home, and then drive back with
That's what I did.
else.
That's what I did.
Gotcha.
My dad did 4 trips, I think he did. And then my mom did 2. And then my wife did 1 going back. But then, I mean, every time we went, the least amount of vehicles we took was the last trip that I took, which was towing my Nova with the dually. Yeah. And we went through Nevada and stuff. We went through Bonneville and kind of went that way.
Yeah.
When the first trip I took, it was just, we had one of the cars, we had a BMW wagon that we took, my wife's car, and then my dad is driving a Penske truck hauling my mom's Cougar in the back.
Gotcha.
And which is a 68 Cougar XR7. That's her high school car that she's had since.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, since she was 16. I think she's had that car. Nice. So almost 40 years at this point. Almost. But yeah, so we just kept hauling stuff. And I think the last big trip that came, it was actually with a car hauler.
Oh, really?
How many cars did it have on it? 6? I think it had 6 of our cars on it. Yeah.
You guys have more cars than we do, and that's really saying something.
It was really bad in California.
Well, really? You had even more than that? You called before you moved? Yeah. You called it to 14?
We shipped off a lot of stuff before. No, I mean, I sold my Blazer. We sold, we had a bunch of, what was the part? My wife makes the joke. It looked like the intro when you do Welcome to Jurassic Park, and that music starts playing. Mm-hmm. That was kind of what it looked like when you walked out to in our yard. There was probably 20 cars in the back of our property that were not operable cars.
Just cars.
Yeah. Anything from, we had like, at one point there was 3 different 67 to 68 Cougars. There was probably 3 or 4 62 to 6 Chevy trucks. There was like a Fox Body Mustang that looked like I got hit by a train. There was just stuff because we bought that property got bought in 1989 by my grandpa, and then my parents bought it from him I think in 2003, but they stayed on the property, so there was just basically 3 generations of car people just put stuff on that property, and it was 2.5 acres of just car stuff.
Yep.
So it was sense. It's just. You understand that?
In versions of it, yeah. So my grandpa was a big farmer, so we collected a lot of farm equipment that we inherited that we still have. And then Dad has been collecting cars or pieces of cars for since he was 16. So basically 50 years now.
So then picture that, and say your grandpa was collecting car stuff instead of tractors.
That's what I'm saying.
And then your cousin started buying stuff, and he put stuff on the property. And then other people go, "Oh, hey, you're in the cars. What about you want this?
Yep.
Oh, you want that?" And then
That's how
you
it
never
goes.
say no.
No, exactly.
So
You see all these shelves here.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
lot of stuff that people are like, we didn't know anybody else who wanted this. Is this something you guys could use? And we're like, maybe. And it just ended up on those shelves over there.
to put it in perspective, you saw our shop so far, and if you haven't seen my shop yet, and that we've put up in Tennessee right now, go check out my channel. You'll see kind of walk-arounds on it when I go around that shop. I get sad because we used to have a lot of stuff in California, just random crap that I'm like, man, I could have built something. If I have to go buy things. This sucks. Like,
You can't just go out. You can't just go out in the field and grab it.
Yeah, I can't just go out in the field and grab
your
it.
own
Yeah.
personal junkyard,
Pretty much.
salvage yard.
I would literally. There was times where I think I had to get battery hold down nuts for for the Nova when I was racing. I think it was for ET finals for the Division 7, and I literally walked out back because it was some weird threaded metric size that we didn't have anything in the shop. So I walked out there, and it was a 65 C30. It looked like it was a ramp truck that someone put like a sleeper on the back. So it was like bow to stern. The thing was like 40 feet long. Gosh. But they had like this resistor thing that was on the inside of the engine bay, and I pulled 2 nuts off it, and that was
what you needed.
That was what I needed. It was just like one of those random things. You're just
Yep.
like, and somehow I still remember that, 5 years later kind of thing. But
That
you're just
is
like,
a very specific memory.
Yeah.
you were just so happy, but
It's
then
that
it worked out.
autistic,
You didn't
just
have to
like-
go to Napa or wherever.
I have to go to because it would have been like a 35-minute drive somewhere. Because that's another thing about that we appreciate here is like we're more out in the country, but we're closer to everything
Right. Yeah, of
because
course.
everything's a little bit more
compact.
compact
Yeah.
to a point.
Oh, you live so close to everyone. Everyone's got all kinds of neat little places. It's nice. I mean, we're like that with Marcel. We got the Napa store in Marcel, the CarQuest store down here in Marshall. Like between the two of those, if they don't have it, they can probably have it the next morning. So if you're hurting, you're probably okay.
And Amazon's awesome, and Summit's
Yeah.
awesome too. And
Yeah, it's really good.
yeah.
Yeah. So, Colin, I gave a little bit of my background. So tell me about you.
What do you want to know?
Well, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, like education and things like that. You told me the other day. I didn't realize you were a communication major. And tell
Journalism,
me-
technically.
Oh, was it journalism?
Yeah,
Okay.
Same difference.
Okay.
It's talking about words and
Talking about words.
Talking about words. That's all it is. You mathematize words and say dumb things on the internet. That's all you do. And as you can tell, my vocabularistics aren't very good as far as certain
It's killer, man.
putting words together sometimes.
Between the two of us, we
Oh,
might
yeah.
we might make up
have
a
one
quarter of a
brain.
thesaurus.
But no, so I literally kind of on the same track as you. So I played baseball growing up, played baseball going into college. I didn't do a whole lot of car stuff because of baseball. I went through, when we ended up winning 2 championships when I was in high school. I caught through high school. Went to a small junior college in Sacramento Valley, which if you know baseball stuff about Sacramento is kind of basically a D1 caliber junior college area. The baseball there is about D1 caliber. It's just full of dumb idiot people that they're not smart enough to go to D1, so they have to transfer out to different colleges and stuff like that from there.
Okay.
And I was slow. Like, I am a very slow human being. So that was part of the reason why I went to a junior college, is just because I was slow and I didn't feel like going to Chicago or places like that were wanting me to play like D2 or D3.
Gotcha.
So I ended up going to American River College, and I started off as a mechanical engineering transfer.
Hey.
Yeah, with the idea that I was going to go to, say, Cal Poly or Cal State, like Cal Sacramento or somewhere like that. And then I ended up getting a concussion while working on my Nova, and I was out for 4 months from that. And after that, I recovered from that. Math is not good for me anymore.
No bueno, no
2
more.
plus 2 is 5 to me. I don't really know as far as
That's wild to me.
mathematizing. It's just like, it was weird. And
like, I know concussions are crazy and weird and stuff, but we don't really understand them
No.
and stuff. But like, have you looked into that? Like, have you like researched that at all? Like, is
honestly,
that
not
something-
really. It's just I know there's been
Because that
some.
interests me so much that you
Yeah.
would say that. I'm like curious if is there like a percentage of people that has happened to?
I don't
like,
know. Like I know some people have talked about forgetting things, or like certain
yeah.
things are harder to remember as
Right.
far as like if you hit your head enough times. And it's kind of one of those things that's funny. So we made the joke. So just the whole history of the concussion that I had. We were working on my Nova, and we were putting a mini starter in the car when we were dropping the engine back in. It was a 350 with camel hump heads and stuff like that. And I was underneath the car putting the starter back in, and the mini starter wouldn't fit that we had. It was just some Chinese, just
Yeah.
like Summit Racing one. And 67 Novas are very notorious for not having a whole lot of space in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that one wouldn't work, so we were just going to throw the stock starter back in it because that one works and it's fine.
Right.
Well, the bolts for the mini starter were shorter than the ones for the actual GM starter.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look at it. I just grabbed one, put it back in, being some dumb 18-year-old kid.
Well, that would,
And-
to be fair, if they're both laying there, that would have been easy to do for anybody.
Yeah. And I have it up, put it up, GM starters are heavy, trying to thread it in. It gets seemingly threaded in, holding it up, take my hand away to grab the socket wrench, and my head's about,
Bop.
that far off, and bop hits me on top of the head, and I rebound off the concrete.
Oh, so you
and-
got the
yeah, I
double
got
action.
the ding. Yeah,
Mm.
and the brain does this inside your head. And I saw stars for a good minute and a half, 2 minutes, and didn't lose consciousness.
Mm.
And then it was one of those where like you're like, okay, is my brain helmet okay? And you start like pushing around on your forehead, trying to like see if like it's actually anything broken.
Right.
And nothing seemed broken. And then I walked back in the house, got ice and stuff like that. And my mom, I love my mom. It was just one of those funny things. She's like, you probably have a concussion. We were joking about it. And because you're like, oh, yeah. And next morning, I went to weight training the next morning because, college athlete.
Right.
Doing squats and stuff like that, like maxing squats, doing like 300-pound reps and stuff like that. And I'm like losing consciousness doing these
Oh, really?
reps
You're
and
just kind of
stuff.
blacking out.
Yeah, blacking
Oh,
out. And
gosh.
you're like kind of like a dog, though. You're just like, well, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm
Yeah.
fine. And you go through like film class and you're just like laying against the side of the
Gosh.
And I ended up going to the trainer, and the trainer's like, dude, go home. Like, go lay in a dark
He's
room.
like, you need to do something
Close your
about
eyes.
this.
Don't open your eyes for like 3-4 days. And literally just one of those things where I had concussion-like symptoms for like 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
Really?
'Cause it was just hanging around.
Whoa.
And it's just like this weird compression, kind of like the front of your face where like your eyes are just really tired and
Yeah.
heavy. And you always have kind of like this migraine headache. It's awesome. I highly recommend it.
I will do my best not
Yeah,
to take
no.
you up on that one.
But it's kind of one of those things that's funny because, not funny, but you realize after you have a concussion, and once you realize what it actually feels like, you're like, wow, I've had a lot of concussions before.
Oh,
like
no,
you,
really?
you realize like, well, you've hit your head
For-
before, and
yeah.
you're like, and then you're like, I kind of feel like crap for 2 or
Yeah,
3 days. And,
yeah.
well,
That's
you had
probably
some
what it was.
minor concussion at some point, and being boys out in the country, you do dumb stuff a lot, and when you're little, you bang your head around quite a bit. So
Yeah, true.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's just wild. You told me that the other
Yeah.
day, and I was like, "What?" Like that to be able to basically lose a skill set, which I know you
Yeah.
can. I'm certain that you can do some math, but
To my credit, calculators do a lot of wondrous things.
Well,
So I
there
mean,
you
you
go.
don't really.
but still, like basically to kind of lose a skill set off of that, it's
Yeah.
kind of wild. to
And
me.
like I can still do algebra and geometry and stuff like that. Like that's all fine to me. It's just like I was trying to take trigonometry immediately after I was trying to take trig, and it was like Latin to me. I had no
Just
idea
couldn't
what
make
to
it,
do.
put it
Oh
put it
my
together.
gosh! And the teacher, was some probably professor that's on tenure and doesn't care about anything. And you ask him what theta is, and he has no idea. And he's like, "Well, theta is theta," and I'm like, "Well, cool, thanks. I really appreciate that." I'm like, "Is theta 6? Is it 7? Is it you take this and that's theta? No, theta is theta. Oh, okay.
yeah, right.
I'm just gonna leave now." So with that being said, I left the mechanical engineering transfer path, and I went to journalism, which is a hard 180. And that was solely because of two different things. One of them was because of Mike Finnegan.
Yep.
And Mike Finnegan has a journalism associate's degree, and look what he's been doing with his
Yep.
life. And then the other one was there was a guy that I met while I was on touring Cal State, I think it's Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, for mechanical engineering or architecture I was looking at before I went to college. And that guy, he was some architectural engineering student.
Mm-hmm.
He was graduating with an architectural engineering degree. And he said, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to Italy. I'm going to go learn automotive engineering and design because that's what I actually want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So first off, you're getting one degree. And he goes, yeah. And I've already started this and I got so far and I had this like aha moment that all I ever look at is automotive books. Yeah. And that's all I actually care about is automotive. I don't care about houses and designing houses. And I'm like,
yep. Makes sense.
And I sat there on like the 3.5, 4 hour car ride, like questioning my life choices. Because at that point I was like, well, architecture seems cool. And you kind of had this thought in your life of, you're supposed to do something unrelated from cars, and then you always work on cars. Yeah. Because that's just what you always see everyone else do. So, I mean, that's what I need to do too. And then you realize, well, you don't have to.
Don't have to.
You don't have
that's true.
to.
Yeah, it helps sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand that completely. And people... There's more people that follow me that I work with that I'm actually comfortable with. I wish more of them didn't, to be honest.
I try to be completely gray and like invisible anywhere I am, except for my social media stuff.
Yeah. So there's quite a few people that I work with, and like I love them to death. I'm not saying that. It's not a.
As they're watching this, like, come on, Jake.
Yeah, it's not that at all. It's not that I don't like them or anything like that. But like I dress up as different people sometimes and make ridiculous voices and stories and stuff. And, when you sit down in a room with people that you're like,
supposed to be serious with, and
I'm supposed to be really serious with, and they're asking my opinions on on relatively serious matters.
And then they scroll through their phone, they see you, and
they're like, how's that Bill guy doing, Jake? And I was like, oh, I had a guy do that to me the other day.
That's hilarious.
And I work with, his name is Nicholas. I like him a lot. He's a German guy. He's from around here. He follows along. He watches a lot of our stuff, at least on Instagram and stuff like that. And so the other day he told me I needed to bring some hardware here to connect it up and do some work with it. And he says, Jake, this stuff's kind of new, and we don't need, it can't be out there in the wild. So that old man that comes to your shop sometimes, that Bill guy, make sure he doesn't come and take it. And we're in a meeting with like 6 or 8 other people, and I'm like, oh, I'm on like the Teams call, at my house, and I'm like,
and then everyone does this,
and they go, What, Nicholas, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, Jake does this like Instagram stuff. And I was like, please stop talking right now. I'm begging you to stop. Like, it was like, I told him, I was like, dude, I have a certain reputation at the company. Like, and then I have certain skill sets. But then if they see me dressed up as Bill, they might be like, what is wrong with this guy? But I say all that to say is that in general, my job is my job. It's there to serve a purpose. But people ask me all the time, they're like, why do you basically work another full-time job? Because people underestimate the work that Colin and myself, we put into this stuff. And I'm not bragging, and I'm not looking for anybody to be like, oh, gee, man, you're, good for you. It's just how it is, because we love doing it. Because by the time that you decide to work on a thing, whatever it is, race car, truck, take your pick, and then you work your day job to make the money to pay for the things you need to do to it. Then you put the work into actually doing it. You video it, then you take the time to edit it, and then you spend hours and hours trying to like criticize yourself to death on a thumbnail and a title, and you just like grind yourself into the ground trying to figure this out to post it, and it gets 150 views or something, and it's a real kick in the teeth.
And it makes a nice quarter.
But then you have ones like one that I put up on my C10 truck, swapping out that stinking dual valve for the dual fuel tanks. It's like 18,500 views, and it's still going, and it's like, so you do it because, and I tell Dad this all the time, or I told this when we were first starting, and I told him, he said, why are we going to do this? I said, because we're going to do it anyway. Like all of this work we're going to do, and we've done for years. At this point, we might as well set up a video camera, video it, and do our best with it. Let me learn it and do our best to get it posted. And then at that point, potentially there's another revenue stream, that helps us continue to do this. Yeah. Or maybe it continues to grow and it becomes something, bigger. I don't know. That's what I would love for it to be. So as far as that goes, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, well, and that's the whole thing about the whole social media stuff, which is, like you said, it's a kick in the teeth. And I started social media stuff because when I got done playing baseball, which is, I went through 2 years of fall ball in college, and I never actually played spring because the first year I got my concussion, I think it was I think I got it in October, I think is when I got it. And normally the fall season goes from like August to October, or mid-November in California, and then you start playing in January, February is when it starts playing when the new year comes. So they have the team pretty much set by Thanksgiving as far as they make all the cuts and everything. So I got my concussion the first year, and the second year I started. I got arthritis in my left knee when I was. It started when I was.
You're a catcher, right?
Yeah. So I played catcher since I was 7, 8 years old, and I got arthritis in my left knee when I was a sophomore in high school. So that's when it first I started. So it was a little bit of arthritis at that point. I'm sure it's much better now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But that was starting to act up a little bit. I started getting issues with my hip, my elbow, things like that. And when you ask for a day off or like a couple of days, like to kind of rest, and the coach is like, "No, you got to keep rolling." You're
That's
like,
it. Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, when I'm 40, I'd like to actually be able to play with my kids and stuff like that at some point in the future. So I kind of did the see you later, and that's kind of around the same time that I started doing social media stuff. And I started with photography because Instagram at that point
was just pictures, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was just
like
pictures.
Basically.
Yeah, that's all it was pictures. And that was the point. I think it was 2018, 2019, I think is when around the same time I started a YouTube channel. I started doing just pictures. And I think the first few videos I did on YouTube are literally like an autocross that was at the Good Guys car show. And they got a couple hundred views each one of them. But I started doing social media, just photography. And I think my page was Atomic Photography. It was the first like Instagram thing. I got like 5,000 or 6,000 followers kind of quickly. But the same thing that you were talking about, it's like, well, I'm already doing car stuff. I have my Nova. I like cars, and I always kind of like taking pictures and doing photography stuff. So I'm going to try this and just have fun with it and see where it goes.
Right.
And then when I started doing like hot rod repair like stuff in our shop, just kind of like as a side job in California. And that's kind of when I started doing the YouTube stuff, and that's when I kind of came about the Daily Misfire.
Right.
Just kind of sitting around. Okay, well, I need a name for it because
how did you come up with your name for your channel?
So we had our shop name, and I came with a shop name which was 916 Hot Rod Garage, just because that's just a generic name, and our area code was 916, so that just kind of worked. But that's really long to say at the beginning of an intro. And I started just kind of bouncing off names with one of my buddies, and we were kind of like, we need something like Roadkill. Like, it needs to just be something quick.
Yep.
Like Let It Ride. It just needs to be quick.
Right.
And it was literally one of those things just kind of popped in my head, like the Daily Misfire. Because you post daily, obviously, and it's Misfire is kind of like a funny misnomer as far as what goes on. And so I was like, all right, well, let's try that. And it seems to take off. And kind of to one of those points where it got a lot more traction when it changed names from Atomic Photography to the Daily Misfire, and from there just kind of kept rolling. Yeah. And then, to the point where we were at the ET Finals, which that was 2021, I think, is when I did ET Finals. I think it was 21 or 20. It was 21. And there was people showing up from, like, Arizona that knew me.
Oh, really?
And
that's cool.
Like NHRA drag race dudes that were, like, super pro. They had the stacker trailers and stuff like that. Like, hey, the Daily Misfire. And I'm like,
yeah, yes, it's weird. Yeah.
Yes, random citizen. Yes, I know you. Thank you for following me. That's when you try to be super nice and you try to talk to anyone that you can.
But, of course, yeah. Well, because I get excited about that. That stuff. Excited, maybe the wrong word. I like it just because it's like cool to know that people are like watching. It's
real.
You have like you see numbers or followers or subscribers or whatever. You see those numbers, but sometimes you don't associate them with like people, with
seeing
like real
someone
people
out in the wild,
and someone's like, hey, there's because we had that the other day. We went down to GeForce, which GeForce Transmissions. We're lucky enough to have them sponsor the podcast that's on our Shift Point channel that we do with the Southeast Gassers Association. You can see their banner back here in the background. Check out Southeast Gasser gear if you would like a banner or a t-shirt. Steven is awesome. And so anyway, so we're lucky enough to have them as a sponsor for that podcast. And so we went down to their shop the other day, and they said, Roby said, I told the Classic Gear Jammer guys, because that was the other group that was there. We told them that you were coming, and they were like, oh, we love them. And I was like, they know us. Like, that's weird. that was really strange. Dad was like, Dad makes some sort of joke. He's always cracking jokes. While it doesn't appear on our YouTube channels that much, my dad is a funny dude and makes jokes and crap all the time.
It blocks out as soon as
the camera turns on, he turns into very serious Mike. And but yeah, he's a funny guy. But anyway, so he was cracking some sort of joke about being a celebrity or whatever, and then he's like, "I didn't really mean that. It's just a joke." It's like I know.
I make the joke. It's cover band fame.
Right? Yeah. There you go. Yeah. That's a very fitting thing.
The Z list.
No.
Fame people. Really.
Yeah. So with us, with Shift Points, so the name Shift Points, where I came up with it, well, it wasn't me. It wasn't just me. So there was a guy I went to college with. His name is Seth Wood, and I think the world of the guy. Still one of my really good friends. He was my roommate. We were random roommates. We moved into college. That was just who we got paired with, right? And he was from like down in Raleigh, and turned out he was a big Formula One fan, loved cars. I was like,
lucky.
We're gonna
Awesome.
we're gonna be okay, So like I was super nervous. Like I'm a homebody. I have been a homebody my entire life. So like moving into college is one of like the worst days of my life.
I'm gonna get stuck with this random dude, and he's gonna like hate me. This is gonna be awful.
Yeah, exactly. And so it worked out great. And like I said, we're still really good friends today. But anyway, we probably 5 years ago, I was like, dude, we got to get on this YouTube thing. Like it was when everyone was kind of starting to do it. I think if we had probably started back then, we might have been a little further ahead than we are now. But like I was like, dude, like we can go to old abandoned. Like well, this is one thing I want to do, and maybe something I would still like to do at some point. But like go to like old abandoned racetracks, kind of the history of that racetrack, stuff like that, circle tracks, drag strips. Like I love stuff like that. Super interesting.
Like the old Dale Jr.
Yeah, like the Lost Speedways that he did.
Forgotten Speedways, whatever it's called. Yeah,
stuff like that. It's just super interesting to me. And but anyway, so that was kind of what we were talking about doing. And I called him to the house, and it was basically kind of how we did this deal when we were setting up for this. So let's just sit down, let's talk about it, let's figure it out. And so we literally just same deal. When Colin and I came up with the name for this podcast, I went to his shop, we talked, and then was like, all right, before we're even gaining any traction ourselves, we're gonna have to come up with a name. And so on my way home, I'm listening to music and driving, and that's when I do my best thinking. And so I'm just busting off names, everything. I told him, I was like, any random name that comes to your mind, just send it. I was like, it doesn't matter if we each hate it, or even if you don't really like it, it'll help me, spark thoughts too. And I shot back Let It Ride. It was actually a song I was listening to. I was like, Let It Ride. And he was like, whoa, that's it. He's like, that's it. Well, it was kind of the same deal. We start going this. We're like, all right, transmissions, engines, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, Shift Points. And it was like, it's short, it's sweet, it's not so-and-so's garage, which no offense if that is your name. Like if you're so-and-so's garage on YouTube, not an offense, it just wasn't what I wanted. It's a completely personal thing. And I was like, I want it to be a name, I want it to kind of be a phrase.
Yeah.
And like Shift Points, we're going to hit our Shift Points. And Dad had the Lenco going in the 55.
It fits.
And we're kind of diehard straight drive transmission guys. We believe that there should be a stick in everything, even though like a lot of our stuff doesn't have it. But if we can get a stick in Collins Nova, it'll be like 1,000 times cooler.
It'll never happen.
Anyway,
there's another wagon if you want to do that with. You can do
that would be so cool. We can throw a G-force in that bad boy. Yeah. Anyway, we can talk about that later.
Getting hassled about putting gasser stuff in one of those wagons.
What?
Yeah.
What is it? You're getting hassled to do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I made a joke to Adam Lohorn, who's Rod Slinger guy.
Yeah, Rod Slinger.
Yeah, which that's awesome because I made the joke to him when he was talking about trying to bring his Falcon to the Six Smokies event, and I sent a picture of my nasty, crusty wagon. I'm like, if anyone's got a, gasser front end for one of these that they, want to hook me up with, kind of as a discount, let me know. And there was like 2 or 3 people that were throwing out like, well, I have one if you want to run one. And
like, it would be cool.
I'm like,
me and Dad have had it once. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything because there's absolutely nothing confirmed. But it is in my brain to go racing with the Sega guys at some point. But it won't happen until we get the 55 back to the racetrack.
Could you imagine though, just if you say for like that wagon, you've seen that wagon. I have floor plans on order right now for it.
Oh, do you?
A-pillars. Okay. Yeah, they should be here next couple weeks.
Cool.
But saying that, if you got say a gasser front end on that car and you fixed a few things, even with a 283, you have to take that thing, if you went to Six Smokies, through Tail of the Dragon. How miserable would that absolutely
No, because you'd be smiling too much. You wouldn't even think about the misery because you'd just be like, "This is the coolest thing."
It'd be awesome right up to the part where I drive off because the brakes
You're not
start
gonna go down
red
through there
hot.
500 miles an hour. Just gear down. If you had a straight drive.
He said gear down.
Well, yeah, because you.
Well, it'll be.
That's true. I forgot you got one here. Yeah, that's fair. Sorry.
Yeah, I think throw it in first.
Yeah.
I had to throw the Nova in first a couple of times during drag week because if we were stuck behind a couple of gassers that were in drag week, because the one that we went to was one that went through I think it went through Browns Mountain.
Oh yeah, the Brown Mountain.
That
Yeah.
we went through that side is where we came through, and that was
Oh, yeah, because that went to Bristol.
Yeah.
That was the one we went. When was this? 2023. It's on
Yeah.
your shirt. Yeah, 23. That was the one that we went to. So like we went over to Bristol that day. I
you
took
probably
the day
saw us
off.
out there, and
I didn't. That was before I knew you.
Yeah.
I think it was right around that time when I started following you. I think it was
Okay.
it might have been Drag Week where I found out about you. I don't know.
Probably.
Or maybe it was Lowhorn. I bet Adam put up something.
Probably.
I'll figure that out at some point. Because like it's annoying me that I can't remember how I ended up following you.
I think Adam and I posted pictures because he and I took a couple pictures with each other, and we took pictures of his grumpy car and the Nova with each other and stuff like that at gas station.
Bet that's what it was then.
Yeah, but they're super cool guys. Him and his dad are awesome.
I tell Dad all the time. I'm like, I wish the Lowhorns lived in North Carolina because if they were, we would be best friends.
Right?
Oh, did they? I don't know. I don't know.
I think they used to live.
I don't know.
In North
I'm not
Carolina.
sure. I wish they
put
did
any
though.
conjecture out
because
there,
they would be we would be best friends.
There's so many dudes I've met that they're from Chicago or there's a couple of guys I've been talking to that are from Canada.
Yeah.
And they're super cool guys. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you need to just come out here. I always just make the joke. I'm like, you just need to come out here. I wish I had a spot to where just pull out a trailer and we'll put up a 10 by 20 little shop that you can just put stuff in and just come out here.
Yeah,
Just
well, it's kind of
everyone
like Chris has got with
Yeah.
WAF Racing. He's got all his Canadian, but Raj and everybody that's
adopted
their
Canadian.
Yeah, he is. He's an adopted Canadian, so he
So
all
funny.
the Canadian guys come there first before they go on their Dragon Drive
Yeah, because
events.
does Guido go there too? It's Guido, right?
Yeah,
Or
Guido.
I'm sorry. It's
sorry,
one of those.
dude.
Richard.
I love your car.
The car's awesome. That car's
GTO
awesome.
sweet. So
That's so
sorry,
cool.
I just
And then
mispronounced your
it's-
name.
And then it's Armstrong, right? Is the other guy that's with him?
I just know Raj.
Okay, Raj.
I met him
He's
at
the
DRI.
442 car, right?
He's got the Oldsmobile. Yeah,
That thing's awesome.
I think sweet. So anyway,
Sounds so good.
But in general, I think that like I said, that kind of gives you a little. I think this podcast. I think we're right about the hour mark. I think it's probably pretty good here for us. We want suggestions. So if you're coming here from our channel, if you're coming here from Colin's channel, please drop into the comments and let us know whether it be some stories that you'd like to hear or maybe personal stories. Because I was thinking about it a minute ago. We somehow attract Californians. We won't get into it today, but we have other good friends of ours that were from California. So somehow the Freemans and Californians, it just happens
You're
that
from
way.
there supposedly, or something.
We're not from there, not at all, not even close. I did a DNA test one time, and it basically said, "Wow, you're the whitest dude in the whole world."
See, in my family, we literally migrated out west, and we were from North Carolina, Western North
really?
Carolina originally.
Oh, that's cool.
From literally immigration 1800s to I think the early 1900s. They moved to Texas.
Okay.
For literally my grandpa got born in Texas in 49, and then they all moved out to California. And
that's
then
cool.
So then we're just coming back. We're coming
Yeah,
back
that's
home.
fair. You're just coming back home.
Yeah.
See, for me, I traced it back to the 1300s, and we were all the way back was in England, and then we migrated to up north, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And then we came here, and we haven't left. I don't think we ever will.
I'm like an American mutt, is what I like to say. Is I have Native American in me. There's German, there's Irish, there's English, there's French, there's whole lot of different white people, different white, the Caucasians, and then they have Cherokee.
Yep.
And
no,
I don't look Cherokee, but I'm like an 8, and I can just
the pale skin and red hair.
I can show you pictures of my grandma. Be like, oh, I got you.
Yeah, that's fair. My mom's mom was like that too. Yeah.
It's that one token where you're just see, look, I am, and you can date her back to the Trail of Tears and stuff like that, back in for the Cherokee history. And one of them's there's a cousin that was a Cherokee outlaw and stuff like that, where it's just
interesting.
it's just stuff like that. It's kind of wild history stuff and Civil War. There was a part of our family that was like in the Civil War. It was in North Carolina, I think, and family in World War II, Vietnam.
Right. Yeah.
Just like all the different. We've
That's
been around.
fair. Yeah,
America.
that's very fair.
America.
Yeah. You won't. I promise you won't hear that phone on the video.
Okay.
So anyway, like I said, if there's any stories or anything that you guys would like to see us cover, or any more information that you'd like to know about us, this is kind of where I'm going to do my best to kind of open up and tell more about what's going on with us, personal, the personal side of our lives and things like that. I think this would be a pretty cool platform to do that. So make sure you hop down in the comments and do that for us. Let us know. Let us know if you liked what you heard here today. And like I said, any stories that you would like to hear, because I'm always looking, and this is what I told Colin, it's a little selfish that I want to do stories, because I'm always trying to expand my automotive knowledge and history of like everything, and like this will give me a nice a very good reason to do it.
It's an excuse.
It's a good excuse to dig into it. So when Emily's like, why are you looking at your phone? I'm like, I'm studying for the podcast. And then she'll be like, okay.
As long as you're utilizing it for something good.
Exactly.
It's a tax write-off. Okay, leave me alone.
So anyway, but like I said, Colin, anything else you'd like to add there?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, if like he said, if you guys want to have anything specific, I know for me too, it's gonna be a lot of updates and have a lot more of a candid conversation about stuff that we're trying to do, and hopefully down the road we'll bring on guests and other people to come in. We'll probably do kind of like call in guests, and then also try to bring people in. And who knows, if we're at PRI or something like that, we may be dragging people into hotel room.
That would be awesome. I've got guys that I've met through this who I call my social media buddies that I would love to have on and have conversations with them.
There's plenty of guys that try to have those cool conversations with and try to really, hopefully, my whole goal with the automotive industry and what I'm trying to do is try to help grow it in another positive and younger way.
Exactly.
Because that's always the thing that I've always had frustration with, or just it's a challenge, is, I'm 26 years old, you're 30, right? Yeah, 30. And so, I mean, everyone that is in a young guy that is 40s.
Yep.
So there's not a ton of guys that are working on a 55 Chevy, a 67 Nova, any one crew cab dually that are in their 20s, 30s, and actually know what they're talking about, or actually want to.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, or actually, they don't want to just put huge wheels on it and put underlighting on it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to lift. I don't want to lift his squatted truck.
Yeah.
That will never be on our channel unless I'm making fun of it.
No, I'll make fun of it too. Yeah. So it's the guys that are like us, and we've met plenty of them that are around.
There's so many,
but they just don't have an outlet, or there's not enough people around them to try to help them grow it. So if we can try to help grow and nurture that next generation to where, even if it's, say, something where they're not trying to restore a 67 Nova, but they find a 92 Camaro that
was my first car.
Yeah. See,
we'll talk about that at some point.
Yeah, we will. We'll talk about first cars, a whole bunch of other stuff. But that's kind of where I'm at. So I mean, if we can help try to grow and try to help nurture somewhat of a community, even if it's bringing other 5 people in, it's worth doing what we're doing. So
I'm the same way. I've had people talk about other stuff that we've done, put a comment in and be like, dude, because of you, I watched a NASCAR race for the first time in 20 years, or I went to a circle track, because we don't have to talk about that, but like, I know there's a big hatred of NASCAR, in modern day NASCAR, and I understand it. Like I still watch it, but I get it. Yeah. But like, I had a guy at a circle track come up to me. He's like, "Hey man, I follow you on Facebook, and I came here. It's the first time I've been to a local circle track in who knows how long, because I wanted to come see you in Eugene run." And I was like, that's just awesome. Made my day, dude. I was like, you have no idea what that means to me.
Bro, I'm about to cry. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wasn't hardly that emotional, because when I'm at the racetrack, I get so focused. But then, like, after the fact, I was thinking about it. I was like, dude, that is crazy. Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Me, this schmuck that
just some dude
to post on the internet.
I just do because and I post because I like it, just because that's what I'm going to do, and I think it's funny.
I'm selfish, and this is something I like to do. I
guess it is a little bit of selfishness,
but it's that you're that impactful for someone to.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome,
dude. Like I said, I told him, I was like, dude, you just made my day. Like, you have no idea. And people will comment stuff on YouTube and things like that, and be like, I love this channel, love what you're doing. I'm like, that's what it's out right there. That's so cool. So cool. Yeah, so I'm the same way. I just want to make a positive difference in the world, and bring together some cool people and do fun things. What was that video? I don't know why that video's been playing in my head the past couple days. It's like I want to do.
So tell me, Jacob, why do you want to be Miss America?
Miss America? No, I don't know that. No, you remember that old video that was like it was like I just want to do hood rat stuff with my hood rat friends. Yeah. I'm like that's
See,
for whatever reason.
I was thinking of like the Donald Trump like Miss America pageant where it's like I want world peace. Like that's where my brain went when you started saying
leading
that.
up to today. Like I've been thinking about the podcast and whatever I want to do, and that phrase has just been living rent free in my head. Like I just want to do hood rat stuff with my hood rat friends, and I'm like, that's it. That's what I want to do. I just want to go have fun and have a good time.
What was that new ADHD one that they said where it's my automotive.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have
dismantling and hoarding disorder.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's true. That's it.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep.
Yeah, Emily looked at me yesterday and was like, I'm pretty sure you have ADHD. And I was like, you've known me for 10 years and you just figured that out? Because like there's no chance I don't have that.
Yeah. I'm like, I made the joke. I was watching one of the other podcasts that I watch and they were talking about autism and they were going down all the stuff and I'm like, oh no. And I started thinking about it more. I'm like, I'm sure I got touched a little bit by it because and then you start thinking about it more. You're like, well, I think everyone has.
Probably a little touch. I think everyone, in certain ways, yeah.
Because if you're like just interested on something, I mean, you have to have a little bit to even be successful. I mean,
that's right.
Look at the people who have actually been successful in certain things.
Exactly.
Elon Musk and people like that. I mean, there's a little bit there. Yeah. So.
All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap us up for this time here on the Let It Ride podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope to see more and more tuning in for every one of these episodes because, like I said, we're just here to have a good time. We're just going to let it ride.
Let it ride.
See you guys next time.
Peace.